You are watching the Dangerous News Network, news, sports, and politics, where the content is uncut, uncensored, and unbelievable. And this is your host, Daniel McFarland. And tonight's topic is going to be about the NBA. Week 3 rankings. Week 3 is over. So let's look at the progress report of all 30 teams in the NBA. The Atlantic Division really sucks. Yes, the Atlantic Division really sucks. It's the worst division in the NBA. The New York Knicks, they're vastly overrated. The New York Nets, the Brooklyn Nets, they're also vastly overrated. The Toronto Raptors, they're not spectacular. I think they're a mess. We don't know if they're going to gun for a playoff spot or if they're going to tank for Wiggins. I think it's going to be the former. Philadelphia 76ers, they're starting from scratch. It doesn't matter that they got off to a fast start. The Philadelphia 76ers, they're still a shitty team. And the Boston Celtics, yeah, they stink too. Well, the Boston Celtics, they might be the best of the worst. Rajon Rondo might give them a run, but I think that the Boston Celtics, they're the best of the worst, I think. But here's how I see it finishing. I don't have a good read on what the Atlantic Division is going to look like at the end of the year. But if I'm having to guess, Celtics finish first in a sorry division. The New Jersey Nets, the Brooklyn Nets, they finished second. The Raptors finished third and fights for a playoff spot. The Knicks, they're lucky to finish fourth. Carmelo leaves the New York Knicks. And the Philadelphia 76ers, yeah, they're shitty. No matter what their record says. Michael Carter Williams having foot problems, and even if he wasn't, they're coming back down to earth, which I expected. I expect them to be in the Wiggins sweepstakes. Now let's look at the Central Division. The Indiana Pacers, I'm still putting my money on the Indiana Pacers. They lost their first game. Yeah, it happens. But they're a talented team. They're a complete team. Paul George is a superstar in the making. And even though they don't have a real point guard, they don't need it because they play inside out. But they do have a semblance of a point guard system. But Paul George is a superstar. Roy Hibbert and David West, they're NBA, they're starting caliber big men. Now let's look at the Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls, they've done a hell of a rebound. And Derrick Rose, he's not exactly 100%. But the Chicago Bulls, they're doing better. I wouldn't count the Bulls out for anything. But the rest of the Central Division, they're going to suck badly. Who's going to suck the worst? Cleveland is a mess. They're a worse mess than Detroit. The Detroit Pistons, they're a disaster. Cleveland Cavaliers, they're a mess, even worse than the Detroit Pistons. And the Milwaukee Bucks, well, they just suck. Neither team's going to make the playoffs. But who's going to be worse? If I had to put my money, the Detroit Pistons finished third only because the Cleveland Cavaliers are a worse mess than the Detroit Pistons and the Milwaukee Bucks. Yeah, they just stink. Now let's look at the Southeast Division. Miami Heat, they got the division. They got the division on lock. And who's the number 2 team? The Atlanta Hawks. Obviously the Atlanta Hawks. Yes, obviously the Atlanta Hawks. But the number 3 team, I think, is going to be Charlotte. You can no longer count out the Charlotte Bobcats. I said that the Charlotte Bobcats weren't going to make the playoffs, but I'm not too sure. You can no longer count the Charlotte Bobcats out. And the number, well, who's going to finish 4th? I say the Washington Wizards. John Wall is an overrated piece of shit. And the rest of the roster, look at that roster. They ain't got shit. The only person they got is Trevor Ariza and Bradley Beal. And John Wall's overrated. Even though they tried to get better with Marcin Gortat, that roster ain't shit. The Atlanta Hawks, the Orlando Magic, they're going to finish 5th. They're still a young team, but they got a foundation. So watch out, NBA, in the next couple years. But here's how I'm going to rank the Eastern Conference. Miami's going to win the I think Miami's going to win the number 1 spot again. Yeah, they're playing bored, yeah. But I think they're going to turn up the heat at the end of the year. The Pacers, they're going to be close, though. But they'll ultimately come up short. Don't underestimate LeBron James. The number 3 seed is going to be the Chicago Bulls. The number 4 seed by default is going to be the Boston Celtics. The number 5 seed is going to be the Atlanta Hawks, and they'll have home court by default in the first round. The number 6 team is going to be, oh, hell. Number 6 team is going to be, oh, hell. Oh, hell, oh, hell. I think it's going to be the Charlotte Bobcats. Number 7 is going to be the Brooklyn Nets. Number 8 team is going to be, it's going to be the Toronto Raptors. I say the Toronto Raptors. The Eastern Conference is wide open. It sucks. Toronto Raptors, they're going to get swept by Miami. Brooklyn's going to get swept by Indiana. Chicago is going to beat Charlotte, the Charlotte Hornets. And Atlanta, they're going to beat Boston. Even with Rondo back. But let's look at the teams that are not going to make the playoffs. The New York, well, let's look at the number 9 seed. The Detroit Pistons, they're going to be kicking themselves. They're going to be kicking themselves for not moving Greg Monroe. Joe Dumars, the Detroit Pistons are going to be kicking themselves for not upgrading that shooting. And for not trying to go after Andre Iguodala or Corey Brewer while they were going after Josh Smith. They should have been going after another free agent. The number 10 team is going to be, it's going to be the New York Knicks. They're a disaster. Number 11 team is going to be, the number 11 team, that's going to be the Washington Wizards. Overrated. John Wall is overrated. And they only have 2 NBA players that are worth shit. The number 12 team is going to be, the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're a hopeless case. Number 13, Orlando. Number 14 is going to be Philadelphia. No, Milwaukee. They're another hopeless case, and the number 15 team is going to be Philadelphia. I still believe that Philadelphia is going to be the worst team in the Eastern Conference. And I think the Pistons, even though the Detroit Pistons, they suck. They're not going to look that bad. Now let's look at the Western Conference. The Western Conference, Southwest Division, it's going to be Houston, San Antonio. San Antonio, they have proven themselves to be the top team. Houston, I've cooled off on Houston. Houston, they just don't do it for me. Not as a top-tier team. But the Dallas Mavericks, they might do something. Memphis Grizzlies, they're in the tough Southwest Division. I think they still might get in. But they'll finish 4th. The Pelicans, they're in the basement. They got the short end of the stick. But they got Anthony Davis, who is a superstar in the making. Now let's look at San Antonio. San Antonio, you know they're not going to implode. They're never rebuilding. And the Houston Rockets, they're at least exciting, even though they're not that great. But still, James Harden and Dwight Howard. Jeremy Lin, a Super 6 man. And they're competent at point guard. They're competent at small forward. And yes, they're competent at power forward. But Omer Asik, he's not happy at all. He's not happy for 1 minute. I would have gone after Omer Asik. But let's look at Dallas. Don't think Dirk Nowitzki has lost it yet. Sean Marion, Dirk Nowitzki, they came from the old school. Vince Carter came from the old school. He's a backup these days, Well, he used to be a superstar, but he still has it. I think they got good enough coaching to overcome what they have. And the Grizzlies, they got grit. I think they have enough grit to sneak into a playoff spot. Now let's look at the Northwest Division. The top team is going to be, yes, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Kevin Durant is the best scorer in the game. Even LeBron, as prolific as he is, doesn't equal Kevin Durant. Even though he may be more valuable than Kevin Durant is prolific. Number 2 team is going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves, yeah, I'm sold on them. Ricky Rubio, Kevin Love, Corey Brewer for defense. They're gonna whoop some ass. And number 3 team is gonna be the Denver Nuggets. How do I know? The Denver Nuggets, they rebounded from a slow start. That's how I know. Number 4 team, what's the other teams? Let's see. I can't think of the other team. I can't think of the other teams. But I know that Utah, yeah, they're tanking it. They just stink. Yes, they just stink. Let's look at the Pacific Division. The Pacific Division, that's going to be, we know who's going to win the Pacific Division. The Los Angeles Clippers or the Golden State Warriors. Either one, I think it's going to be a push. And I'm giving the edge to the Los Angeles Clippers. The number 3 team is going to be the Phoenix Suns. I think they got staying power. Eric Bledsoe's breaking out. The Lakers, though, they will be lucky to make the playoffs. The number 5, they're likely missing the playoffs. And the Sacramento Kings, they just ain't got shit. Yeah. But let's look at the seedings. San Antonio Spurs, they're the number 1 seed. Clippers, number 2. Number 3 seed is gonna be let's see. I think Houston's gonna be the number 3 seed. I think Houston is gonna be number 3. Oklahoma City is gonna be number 4. Well, scratch that. Number 3 is going to be Oklahoma City. Number 4 is going to be Houston. Number 5 is going to be, let me go out on a limb and say Dallas. Let me go out on a limb and say Minnesota. Number 6 is going to be Dallas. Number 6 is going to be Golden State. Number 7 is going to be number 7 is going to be, let's see. I think Denver's going to make the playoffs as the number 7 seed. And I think number 8 is going to be Memphis. Lakers missed the playoffs. They're number 9. Number 10, I still think Portland doesn't make the playoffs in a tough Western Conference, but they sure would have made the playoffs if they were in the Eastern Conference. I don't think they're ready yet. I think they're going to cool off to the means. They're going to have to show me a lot more. But let me rephrase that. Rephrase. I still pick San Antonio to be number 1. Houston to be number 2 in the Southwest. Number 3, Dallas. Number 4, Memphis. Number 5, New Orleans. San Antonio's not going to implode. They got a well-run franchise and a well-coached team. And yes, Tim Duncan still has it. And they look like they have a future too. Houston, they're exciting to watch. Dallas might make it interesting enough. Memphis has the grit. And New Orleans have a foundation. Let's look at the Western Conference. Northwest. Oklahoma City. They got the star power. Although I'm questioning their depth, though. Do they have enough? Let's look at I think that Minnesota. I'm taking Minnesota over Portland. Who I'm taking over Denver. Who I'm taking over Utah. This is going to be a tough match. And I'm going to take the Clippers and the Warriors. They're going to compete with each other for the crown. Phoenix, Los Angeles Lakers, and Sacramento will be following. The Suns have a foundation. Sacramento Kings, they're still the same shitty team. But the number 1 seed is going to be San Antonio. Number 2 is going to be the Clippers. Number 3 is going to be Houston. No, number 3 is going to be Oklahoma City. Number 4 is going to be Houston. Number 5 is going to be Minnesota. Number 6, Portland. Number 7, Dallas, and number 8. I think it's going to be Phoenix. San Antonio's going to be Phoenix. Number 2 is going to be, I think the Clippers are going to be but let's see. Clippers are going to beat Dallas. Golden State, they're going to lose to, Golden State might beat Houston though. But let's look at the number 3 and number 6. I picked let's see. I picked Oklahoma City. They're gonna beat the number 6 team, whoever it is, Portland. They're gonna beat Portland. And I'm predicting that the Pacers and the Heat will rematch for the finals, for the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals. I'm predicting that it's going to be San Antonio against the Los Angeles Clippers. Whoever wins, I think it's going to be, I'm going to change my predictions. I think the Pacers might be in the second NBA Finals in their franchise history. And they'll be facing the San Antonio Spurs. And that's going to go to 7 games. That's my prediction. Week 4 of the NBA starts this week. Subscribe to me on YouTube. My channel is named Daniel McFarland, and my Facebook name is Daniel McFarland. www.facebook.com/D32009 is my Facebook website. And my Twitter website is DangerousD2013. So follow me on Facebook, follow me on YouTube, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is Daniel McFarland of the Dangerous News Network, and I approve this message.